Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are breaking down one of the biggest, most industry-shaking deals in Hollywood history. Seriously, this is a big one. It's something that could change what you watch and how you watch it, and it all kicks off with one absolutely massive number.
Okay, let's just dive right in with that headline figure. This deal is valued at over $82 billion. We're talking about a move that sends some serious shockwaves through the entertainment world. A Silicon Valley upstart is about to swallow a century-old titan.
That's right. After what sounds like a pretty fierce bidding war, Netflix has entered exclusive talks to buy the legendary Warner Bros. Studio and all of its most valuable goodies along with it. This is a move that honestly signals a whole new era for entertainment.
So, what does a deal of this size even look like? Well, it's not as simple as Netflix just writing a check for the whole company. The way they've structured this thing is actually fascinating, and it tells you everything you need to know about the strategy here.
So, take a look at this. You can see just how surgical this whole acquisition is. Netflix isn't buying everything. They're very strategically carving out the crown jewels: the movie studio, the TV production, HBO, and of course, DC. At the same time, Warner Bros. Discovery is spinning off all its traditional cable networks into a totally separate company. That part not included in the deal.
All right, so for $82 billion, what does Netflix actually get? The scale of this is, well, it's staggering. This isn't just about buying a back catalog of movies. This is like buying a treasure chest of cultural cornerstones. I mean, just think about the sheer power of the IP here. With a single purchase, Netflix would own Batman, Superman, the whole DC universe forever. They'd get the keys to Hogwarts and the entire wizarding world, the rights to Middle-earth. It's just countless iconic film franchises, all under one roof.
And then you look at the TV side of things, and it is just as massive. Netflix gets the entire genre-defining catalog of HBO. We're talking Game of Thrones, The Sopranos, The Last of Us, plus globally beloved sitcoms like Friends and The Big Bang Theory, and the whole animation library, from the Looney Tunes onward. It's wild.
And you gotta remember, this isn't just about digital files and intellectual property rights. Beyond all that content, Netflix is acquiring the physical infrastructure to make and distribute entertainment on a global scale. The iconic studio lot, production facilities all over the world, an established distribution network, stuff that, up until now, they've had to build from scratch or rent from other people.
So the big question is, why? Why make such a huge, and let's be honest, risky purchase? Well, this move looks like a calculated endgame in that brutal competition we've all been calling the streaming wars. This is a play for long-term survival and ultimately, total dominance.
You know, for years, Netflix's biggest weakness was that it had to license content from the very studios that are now its biggest competitors. This deal, it solves that problem for good. By owning Warner Bros., they get that massive library and a world-class pipeline for new stuff. But crucially, it also instantly gives them a major theatrical business. That allows them to have this powerful two-pronged attack: big screen releases to build hype, followed by long-term life on their streaming platform.
And to really get how much things have changed, you have to see this quote. Just over a decade ago, the head of Warner's parent company completely dismissed Netflix, comparing it to the Albanian army. Well, it looks like the Albanian army just spot the kingdom.
But, a deal this huge doesn't just sail through without a fight. In fact, the fight is just getting started. We're seeing battle lines being drawn in Hollywood boardrooms, in the halls of Washington, D.C., and even among some of the top creative talents. So first up, you've got the corporate rivals. Paramount, who also put in a bid for Warner Bros., is publicly accusing the board of running a sham process, one that was designed to favor Netflix from the very beginning. They're demanding to know if the bidding was even fair.
Then, of course, you have the regulators, and this chart shows you exactly what's got them so worried. If you look at the global market for subscription streaming, a combined Netflix and HBO Max would control 43% of it. Opponents are already arguing that a share that big is presumptively illegal under U.S. antitrust law.
And you guessed it, this has already gotten political. Lawmakers like Representative Darrell Issa have already formally asked the Department of Justice to take a very close look at this deal. They're arguing that with less competition, there's less reason to make new and better stuff, which could ultimately hurt us, the consumers. And finally, you've got pushback coming from inside Hollywood's creative community. A group of prominent filmmakers is apparently lobbying against the merger. They're worried that Netflix's streaming-first approach will, in their words, hold a noose around the theatrical marketplace, making movie runs shorter and just threatening the whole idea of going to the movies.
So with all this conflict swirling around, the outcome is really far from certain, and it forces all of us to ask a really fundamental question. What would this new, consolidated world of entertainment actually look like for you, the person watching at home?
Now, to fight back against those antitrust claims, Netflix is reportedly cooking up a pretty novel legal defense. They're planning to argue that their real competition isn't just other streamers like Disney+. No, their main competitor is YouTube. It's a battle for our time, for our eyeballs, not just for our subscription dollars. If they can get regulators to buy that argument, it completely changes the conversation about market dominance.
So, this all leaves us with some really big questions. I mean, when a company that once called movie theaters an outdated concept now owns one of the biggest movie studios in the world, what happens to the future of the big screen experience?
And as all this power gets consolidated, who gets to decide what gets made? You know, when one company with one algorithm has this much influence, will it just sideline smaller, more original, or maybe riskier projects that don't neatly fit into a blockbuster mold?
So, I guess it all comes down to this. Is a simpler, all-in-one entertainment library a good thing for you? And is that convenience worth the potential loss of competition, creativity, and maybe even choice? The future of everything you watch, well, it might just depend on the answer.